Hello everyone, I'm very excited to be here today and share my experience with all of you. My name is Ali.mirfallah, PhD in Innovation and Technology Management. My work primarily focuses on technology strategies and how to develop and implement them with organizations and startups. Today I'm here to share a collection of knowledge and experience I've gathered over the years. Hey everyone, so we have talked a lot about coming up with great strategies. But having a brilliant plan is only half the battle, right? The real magic happens when we actually put that plan into action. And that's where our organization's structure and management system come in. They are the backbone that allows us to turn our strategic vision into reality. This slide emphasizes the critical importance of effectively implementing a formulated strategy. It highlights that successful strategy execution requires a well-designed organizational structure and robust management systems. Also, the slide underscores the need for alignment between the closing strategy and the way the organization is structured and managed to achieve desired outcomes. When we think about setting up our organization, there are a few key building blocks we need to consider. First, specialization. Who does what? Breaking down the work into a specific job. Then, coordination. How do we make sure everyone works together smoothly? And finally, hierarchy. Who report to whom? This helps establish clear line of authority. This slide also introduces the fundamental element of organizational design. Specialization refers to have division of work into distinct tasks and the assignment of these tasks to specific individuals or groups. Coordination involves the mechanisms and processes used to ensure that the efforts of different parts of the organization are integrated and aligned. Hierarchy established the formal reporting relationships within the organization, defined level of authority and responsibility. Think about it. If someone focuses on doing one specific thing really well, they are likely to become very efficient at it. That's the idea behind specialization. By dividing up the work, we can often get more done faster. But we also need to be careful not to become too narrow in our focus, as that can sometimes make it harder to see the bigger picture and work effectively with the other teams. This slide elaborates on the concept of specialization and division of labor in organizational design. It explains that specialization allows individuals to develop deep experiences in particular areas, which can lead to significant gain in efficiency and productivity. However, it also cautions against the potential downside of over specialization, such as limited understanding of other organizational functions and increased challenges in coordination. So, how do we make sure everyone is rowing in the same direction? We use different coordination mechanisms. This could be having a clear rules and procedures in place, encouraging manager to talk each other directly, forming a special team to tackle specific projects, creating rules that bridge different departments, or even foster a strong company culture where everyone understands the common goals. This slide outlines various mechanisms that organizations use to achieve coordination across different individuals, teams, and departments. These mechanisms include the establishment of formal rule and procedure, direct communication and contact between managers, the creation of temporary tasks focused on cross-functional team, the development of integration rules or development departments of facilities coordination, and the cultivate of a strong organizational culture that promotes shared understanding and goals. Every organization has some kind of hierarchy, which basically means who reports to whom. This helps us understand who is in charge of what and who decisions get made. Some organizations have a lot of layers of management. We call that a tall hierarchy, while others have fewer layers, a flat hierarchy. The type of hierarchy can really affect how information flow and how quickly decision can be made. This slide explains the concept of hierarchy in organizational structure, which establish the reporting relationships and the flow of authority within the organization. It defines who is accountable to whom and who has the authority to make decisions. This slide also distinguishes between tall hierarchies characterized by multiple layers of management and flat hierarchies which have fewer layers. The type of hierarchy can have significant implications for communication effectiveness, the speed of decision making, and the level of autonomy granted to employees. Let's look at some common ways to structure and organization. One popular approach is the functional structure, where we group people together based on what they do. All the marketing group in one department, all the finance group in the other, and so on. This works well for smaller companies that aren't changed too rapidly. It allows people to become expert in their area, but sometimes it can be tricky to get different departments to work together seamlessly. This slide introduces the functional structure, a common type of organizational structure where activities are grouped together based on similar functions or specialists, such as marketing, finance, operation, and human resource. This slide notes that this structure is often suitable for smaller organizations operating in relatively stable environments. It highlights that advantage of promoting specialization and efficiency within functional areas while also acknowledging the potential disadvantage of creating silos and hindering coordination across different functions. Companies grow and become more complex, they might need different structures. A multi-divisional structure is like having several smaller, more focused businesses within the larger company, each focused on a specific product or region. Then there is a matrix structure, which is a bit more complex, imagining having employee reporting to more than one boss. This can be really flexible, but it can also sometimes lead to confusion about who's in charge of what. This slide introduces two more complex type of organizational structures. The multi-divisional structure organizes activity around different products, services, customer groups, or geographic regions, and allows all greater autonomy and responsiveness to specific market needs. The matrix structure combines two or more forms of departments, often functional or divisional, resulting in employee reporting to multiple managers. While this structure can enhance flexibility and resource sharing, It can also lead to complexity and potential conflicts in reporting relationship. Having the right structure is important, but we also need systems in place to guide our daily activity and make sure we are on the track to achieve our goals. Management systems are like the operating instructions for our organization. They include how we plan our work, how we set targets, how we measure our performance, and how we decide where to invest our resources. This slide explains the role of management systems in directing and controlling organizational activities to support strategy implementation. It highlights key management systems, including strategic planning systems that link strategy to implementation, operational planning systems that detail day-to-day actions and activities, performance measurement and a target setting system that track progress, and resource allocation process that ensure resources are directed toward strategic priorities. So, what's the best way to structure your organization? Well, the truth is there's no single right answer. It really depends on a lot of things, like what your strategy is, how big your company is, how complex the environment you are operating in is, and what kind of technology you are using. And remember, as these things change, your organizational structure might need to change too. This concluding slide emphasizes that the optimal organizational structure is depend on various situational factors. It highlights key contingency factors that influence structural design, including the organizational strategy, its size, the complexity and dynamicism of its external environment, and the technology it employs. This slide also underscores the need for organizations to be adaptable and evolve their structure over time in response to change in these contingency factors. In this session, I have written important term and definition for each term, which you can use for further study.